I've covered a lot of Mario games on my channel over the past few months, so today, I'll be giving one of my other favorite series, The Legend of Zelda, the spotlight. Breath of the Wild was the first Zelda game I ever played, and has since become one of my favorites. I've put maybe a few hours into this game, probably because of this game's massive world and beautiful landscapes. So that's why today, I'll be ranking the top 10 Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild locations. This list is based on each location's scenery, as well as the missions associated with each area. Some of the choices will also be based on past experiences I've had in each location. I've made a lot of great memories in this game, and I'd love to share some of them. Now then, grab your soup ladle and hold on because it's time for the countdown. Number 10. Faron Grasslands. You may or may not remember this little area, but this is a place I found myself coming back to time and time again. Located in southern Hyrule, the Faron Grasslands is a series of plains that stretch across the edge of the map. The area's main settlement is the Highland Stable, which has a really fun minigame where you jump over hurdles with your horse. Speaking of horses, there's tons of them roaming the nearby prairies. This is one of the best spots to find a good horse, since there's so many of them. And if one of your horses dies at any point, the horse god near here can help you out. I really enjoy roaming all the wide open fields and seeing all the wildlife. There certainly are a lot of cool things to see here. Although fields might not sound like the most interesting place, the calm atmosphere makes this place one to remember. Number 9. West Necluda, or more specifically, the Dueling Peaks area. This is a spot that most players encounter early on in their adventure. It's located between the Kakariko and Hateno villages, and features a lot of really cool things. First of all, there's two giant mountains that mirror each other. Not only do they look really cool, but they provide a great view of the surrounding area. Next is what's essentially a guardian graveyard. It makes the area feel kinda spooky, especially since a few of them are still alive and can shoot you down. Finally, this was the first place I encountered a Yiga clan member in disguise. I remember being really thrown off and running away for like 10 minutes because I was scared. I know that sounds kinda pathetic, but it's a fun memory I have of this place, and that makes it special to me. Like with Faron Grasslands, this place might not sound too interesting at first, but after some time, it'll really grow on you. Number 8. Hyrule Field. Okay, story time with Pigman. Once upon a time, I was playing Breath of the Wild for the first time and seeing all that the world had to offer. I was running around Hyrule Field like a noob when all of a sudden, a guardian on top of a hill started coming at me. This was my first time encountering a guardian, so naturally, I held my ground and nope! I warped the hell out of there because I was terrified. Mostly because he had the high ground. Anyway, Hyrule Field is a pretty dangerous place and is definitely not where you want to start your playthrough of this game. This area has more guardians and monsters than any other place in the game, and it's not easy to stay alive. But if you can manage to get past all that's in your way, you're in for some pretty cool rewards. There's tons of ruins to explore that are filled with treasure. There's even the remains of Lon Lon Range from Ocarina of Time. Although it can be tough to get here, I'd say the risk is definitely worth the reward. But by now, I'm sure you're tired of me talking about fields, so let's change up these locations a bit. Number 7. Aquila Highlands. Out of all the places I mentioned before, this is the one I spent the most time at. It's located between Death Mountain and Tarrey Town, so you'll definitely be spending some time here. There's also so many cool and interesting things here that you won't find anywhere else on the map. To start, there's the Akkala Citadel Ruins, which is this huge abandoned fortress with the craziest staircase you've ever seen. Then there's the Ordorak Quarry, which contains lots of rare gems for you to collect. And up north is the Akkala Ancient Tech Lab, where you can purchase special weapons and armor. The landscape here is really gorgeous too. Whether you're strolling along the sandy beaches, or running through the hilly pastures, the region's beauty never stops showing. I love just looking out past the hills and taking it all in. This really is a beautiful place, and one that everyone should spend some time exploring. Number 6. Kakariko Village. As you start on your journey across Hyrule, one of the first places you'll encounter is Kakariko Village. This quaint little town is where Impa, one of the last remaining members of the Sheikah tribe, lives. It's also where you'll obtain the Champion's Tunic and learn more about the Great Calamity. But aside from the story purposes, there's still a ton to do here. There's a lot of shops selling a variety of goods, and even some pretty cool looking armor. There's also a lot of NPCs to talk to, and they all have lots of things to say. I really like the style of the village too. I'm guessing it's themed around ancient Japanese culture, but either way, it looks really cool. Even the music goes with the theme. It's got this relaxing yet upbeat feel to it. But one of my favorite parts about this village has to be the side quests. You'll help some little kid cook, inspire an artist with the photos you've taken, and even go on a stakeout in the middle of the night to find a thief. And that last one I mentioned actually gets pretty deep because you learn the backstory of one of Impa's guards, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff happens. I won't spoil it for those who haven't played the game, but it seriously might be one of my favorite side quests of all time. This is the location I find myself coming back to quite frequently, as there's so much to experience. Number 5. Satori Mountain. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this place before. It's by far one of the most unusual places you'll visit on your journey. Every so often, a bright light will shine from atop the mountain. If you choose to go up there when this is happening, you'll find the Lord of the Mountain, along with several bluepies. The Lord of the Mountain is a big glowing horse with 4 eyes and antlers. It's an interesting looking creature, but there's more to this creature than meets the eye. The Hyrule Compendium states that this being is sometimes referred to as Satori. This is a reference to the late Nintendo president, Satoru Iwata. Iwata worked hard on Breath of the Wild, but unfortunately passed away before it was completed. The developers wanted to honor him, so they threw this Easter egg into the game. I find that to be really admirable, and I'm really glad that they did this. Aside from that, the top of the mountain is straight up gorgeous, complete with a small pond and a single cherry tree. It seriously looks like it came out of a painting or something, and that view is absolutely stunning. You can see so much in every direction, and it's just so beautiful. So not only is this one of the most breathtaking spots in all of Hyrule, but the real-world significance involving it makes it really cool. Number 4. Hebra Mountains. Now maybe I'm just weird, but I've always loved snow levels in video games, and the Hebra Mountains are no exception. This is a large mountain range in the northwest corner of Hyrule, and it's actually pretty huge. There's dozens of snow-covered mountains to climb, each providing plenty of challenges. There's a few settlements to stop at along the way, but for the most part, you're on your own. The deeper into the mountains you go, the more isolated you become. Even the wildlife doesn't want to go all the way back there, and I don't blame them, as these mountains can be quite tricky to navigate, especially when it's snowing. This is pretty much Breath of the Wild's hard mode, and it's a ton of fun. I'm pretty good at Breath of the Wild, so it's never too challenging for me. I think I just like thinking that I'm one of the only players that's ever been back there, since there isn't too much of an incentive to go back there. But either way, it's definitely a place you should check out. Number 3. Thors Domain. Okay, I know this is gonna sound repetitive, but damn does this place look amazing. All of the lights and the statues and the water look so good together. The mountains surrounding the city add a sense of wonder and mystery to the area. And that music. It's gotta be one of my favorite tracks from this game. It sounds so calm and relaxing. I could listen to it all day. If there was one word I could use to describe this place, it would be magical. There's just so much to look at, and the atmosphere is incredible. This is one of the few locations in Breath of the Wild that doesn't feel like it's from the Zelda game. In fact, there's no other place in the entire game that looks or feels quite like this. It's that unique. I still remember how awesome it was discovering this place for the first time. It's by far one of the best memories I have of this game. Now I could go on for hours about how awesome this place is, but believe it or not, there's even better locations than this. Number 2. Hyrule Castle. I doubt you were expecting to see this place crack this list. Don't try to deny it. Anyway, Hyrule Castle is like Hyrule Field, but even more difficult. There's loads more guardians patrolling the grounds, and now some of them can fly. I find it fun to turn this into its own little stealth game, where I see how long I can make it without being noticed. It's usually not that long, but it's still quite fun since it requires you to navigate in ways you wouldn't normally. Now the outside of the castle is pretty cool, but the inside is even better. A good portion of the castle interior is available to explore, and it's always a good time. You can go to the dungeon, the dining hall, the armory, and even a library. Of course, there are lots of monsters inside, but it's kind of fun taking them out in these rooms. And there's plenty of treasure to collect too. It's a really good place to stock up on gear right before your big fight with Calamity Ganon. Speaking of, Calamity Ganon. The fight isn't very hard if you've been playing this game for a while, but it's still a memorable final boss. In fact, this whole castle is memorable, seeing how it is one of the most important locations in the game. Number 1. Gerudo Town. Before I even made this list for this countdown, I knew for sure that this place would be number 1. There's a very special reason for that. This was one of the first places I ever saw in Breath of the Wild. As someone who never played a Zelda game before, this place intrigued me and made me want to learn more about it. I guess you could say that I definitely became a fan after that. Maybe too big of a fan. I think the part that got me hooked was the fact that only females were allowed in, so you had to disguise yourself as a woman just to enter. That to me is still one of the dumbest story aspects in a video game, and I just love it. And the town is just as cool as the lore. There's tons of shops to check out in the market, all with a variety of goods. There's also a ton of unique services here, like getting a massage and attending a class, just to name a few. The town is also filled with dozens of lively NPCs who always have something to say. It's really fun just going around and talking to everybody because there's so much going on. And going back to that whole females only thing, if you unmask yourself anywhere in town, you'll actually get kicked out, which is just hilarious. Like, I'm the hero of Hyrule, but I'm not allowed to buy durians? Just let me in! Either way, this is still my favorite place to come back to. I seriously love this place, and that's why it's my favorite Breath of the Wild location. Man, oh man, is this game amazing. As I'm sure you can already tell, I didn't even come close to naming all of the top Breath of the Wild spots. Truthfully, I don't even think I've found them all yet, so let me know down below what your favorite locations are, and be sure to smash that like button and subscribe! I told myself I would never become like this. Anyways, have a good day, and I'll see you all again real soon. Goodbye.